What would happen if you could only see the world upside down? Well, with this simple trick you can do just that. All you need is a note card, a needle, and some light. Simply poke a hole in the note card, then hold the note card as close to your eye as possible. Then, while looking at the light, move the needle up and down in front of the note card, and you'll be able to see upside down. However, this usually won't work the first time, so give it a couple of goes, and I promise it will be worth it. The reason why we can see upside down while doing this is because our retina originally perceives the world as being upside down. But when contracted with the occipital lobe, that note card disallows those connections for the idea, which leads it to not flip the image. This is because the cornea can't focus on images this close. This allows you to perceive what your retina is seeing. Interestingly enough, they make goggles which invert your vision, and if you wear those for about a week you can start performing actions with an upside-down perspective. However, this isn't the only trick you can pull on your eye. I'm sure you've also heard of blind spots and after images. Let's first go over blind spots. In this image, you see two cars and a black dot. First, close your left eye and gradually bring your eyes closer while focusing on the black dot until you see one of the cars disappear. You can also do the same for your right eye. This is because there are no receptor cells where the optic nerve leaves the eye. Note, however, that the eye you close is when the opposite car disappears, which is why we need both eyes to function properly. Now let's talk about after images. This is when you stare at a long image for a while, which tires out the cones used, and you see the opposite color when looking away. For example, stare at this flag for about a minute, then look at the black dot surrounded by white, and you'll see the complete opposite image. Make sure to stay fully focused on the image and blink as little as possible. You see the opposite colors because the tired cones predict it's still there, but it's not, and it's replaced with its other colors. This is called the opponent process theory, in which red goes to green, yellow goes to blue, and white goes to black, and vice versa. There's also things like reversible figure and ground images. For example, this image right here. You either see a young woman or a man playing a trumpet. Before you ask, no, this does not determine personality, because I'm sure you've seen someone using this in a video before. Lastly, our brain likes to fill in missing information. A famous role of this is the Necker cube, in which we fill in the white lines to make a full cube when in reality the only white shown is in the blue circles. There's also many other tricks that can be played on the brain, such as the color relying on context scheme. Like a perceived shadow on a checkered board could make you assume one color is different from another, or a visual cliff which is designed to see if children understand depth. Another fun trick you can do is called the floating finger sausage, which you might have seen on social media. You can do this by placing your fingers underneath your eyes and bringing them 5 inches out in front of you, and you'll notice a combination of the two fingers and flip backwards. Make sure to not look at your fingers but off in the distance. You'll also notice the farther away it is, the smaller it gets. We can also look into the 5 phenomenon, which is an image that appears to be moving to the eyes, but in reality it's not. These weird tricks can be discovered with depth cues and which ones aren't working and where. Some depth cues, like interposition, make plenty of sense. Interposition is the depth cue for when an object is standing in front of another object we know it's closer. If we look at relative size, this is where things get smaller the farther away they are, or linear perspective, which is when two parallel lines seem to meet at the end, like a long alleyway. Since I know you're already getting bored and wanting to click away from this video, let me wrap this up with a couple more cool ideas. One being a rule called grouping, which includes a way of perceiving something called proximity, which states that we group nearby figures together, like these 6 lines. Originally, they'd be 6 separate lines, but we group them as 2 groups of 3. Lastly, going back to the opponent process theory, if you remember that, we can look into and break down another viral social media trend, which is the one where you try to guess the number when the colors surrounding the number are different colors. This is where colorblind patients lack ability to perceive something. When making these pictures, they use the colors of the opposite cone, which can get tricky when the cones get tired from each level. Make sure to let me know the number for this one in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to learn more every day.